Going to learn the programming the serial communication interrupt. So we now going to understand 8051 all example that using the art. As you recall this chapter, serial port programming is like this. So you can see the difference of SCON, SFR, and the serial port node bit 0, serial port node bit 1, serial multiprocessor communication enabled, receiver enabled, transmit, a transmit flag, and more mode of SCON. A difference between the scenarios and scenarios transmission. Scenarios scenarios transmission data is said to be form of block or frame. This transmission is the full duplex type between sender and receiver. Synchronization is compulsory in the synchronous transmission. There is a no gap present between data. It is more efficient and more reliable than asynchronous transmission to transfer a large amount of the data. Example is like a chat room, telephonic conversation, video conferencing. This is the center synchronous transmission. So sender and this one is receiver, the flow of the data with this. These are the element and data. Now talk about the asynchronous transmission. So asynchronous transmission data is the form in the byte or character. This transmission is a half duplex type transmission. In this transmission, start bit and stop bit are added with the data. It doesn't require synchronization. Example: email, forum, letter. Flow of asynchronous transmission. Sender then receiver. Flow of the data. Stop bit, data start bit. So you can look this. Flow of the data, sender, receiver, asynchronous transmission, sender, receiver, flow of the data, stop bit, then data, then start bit. Now let's see the difference between the scenarios and asynchronous transmission. So in scenarios transmission, data is sent in the form of block or form. In asynchronous transmission, data is sent in the form of byte or characters. Scenarios transmission is fast, asynchronous transmission is slow. Transmission is a costly, asynchronous transmission is economical. In scenarios transmission, the interval transmission is constant. In asynchronous transmission, the time interval transmission is not constant in random. In this transmission, user have to wait till the transmission. Here user not have to wait the completion of transmission in order to get the response from the server. Here in the scenarios transmission, user have to wait till the transmission is complete before getting response back from the server. Scenarios is like a transmission, there is no gap present between data. A scenarios transmission is gap present between data. While the asynchronous transmission, the transmission uses the line in node. In scenarios, line is done in scenarios transmission. Line remain empty during the gap transmission. The start, the stop bit are not used in the transmitting data. The start and stop bit are used in the transmitting data that impose extra overhead. Scenarios transmission need previously scenarios to clock for the. Now talk about what are the ADC interfacing. So analog to digital converter, ADC are used to convert analog signal into the digital representation that can be communicated and processed using digital logic. ADC interfacing you can see with this diagram. Here are the pin diagram of the ADC. So in this is the pin diagram for the ADC to understand. And one more thing, it's like if I talk about the data we process in the microcontroller normally deal with the digital signal, but there may be situation where we have to deal with the external input such as analog signal to digital signal. ADC interfacing, almost all the input signal from physical sensor one is analog. ADC C808 is commonly used to external 8-bit ADC. and analog to digital converter, and it has the 28 pins. It can measure up to 8 ATC 0 to 5 volt. Since it has 8 channels, when voltage reference is plus 5 volt, its step size will be that is why every increase of the input side will increase to 1 bit in the output side. So ADC 808 need to external clock, and to operate an ADC need some specific control signal for its operation, like start conversion and bring data to output pin. When the conversion complete, EOC pin will to indicate the conversion and that data is ready to pick it up. Features easy interface to all the microprocessor, operate ratiometrically or with 5 VDC to analog spin, no zero or full scale adjust, require 8 channel multiplexer with the address logic 0 volt and 5 volt input range, and supply output is like mid TTL voltage standard Hermitage 28 pin motor chip carrier package. Here are the pin diagram, IN3, IN4 started, and this is the ADC 801 analog to digital converter. Channel selection, we can select any input channel using the address line to add A, add B, add C. As you can see the below a table, we can select the input line by keeping the address add A, add B, add C low. So you can see this, add C, add B, add A. Step to follow to interface analog to digital converter is like start, select the channel using address pin, and then a low high transmission on the A to latch the address. High transmissions don't start to reset ADCs are a high low transition on the start to start conversion. Wait for end of the cycle pin to become high, make output enable pin high, take data from the ADC. Stop is step to calculate voltage value of each bit can be found usually equation. Steps, you can see this code for the ADC analog to digital converter. In this section we will see how digital to analog channel converter using Intel 8051 micro. We will also see using the 8051 microcontroller. We will also see the sine wave generation using DAC. Digital to analog converter is the device that is widely used to converting digital pulses to analog signal. There are the two methods of the converting digital signal to analog signal. These two methods are the binary weighted method, R divided by R ladder, NMC 400 digital to analog converter by resolution. Now the MAC 1408 DAC R dash. In this chip the digital input are converted to the current. The output current is known as I out for connecting the resistor to output to convert into the voltage. The total current provided by the out pin is basically the function of the binary number at input pins and the reference current following formulas like I out equal to I reference, and the internal current is input current. This is like pin 14. Generally we connect the input out pin to resistor to convert the current to voltage, but make huge inaccuracy since the input resistance of the load will affect. So what is the digital to analog converter? Digital to analog converter is basically electronic digital to analog converter system that convert digital signal into the analog signal. An analog to digital converter perform the reverse function. What is the LCD interfacing with the 8051 microcontroller LCD display? We always use device made up to the liquid crystal display, LCD liquid crystal display, like computer, digital watches, and also DVD CD player. They have become very common and very taken green leap in the screen industry by clearly replacing the use of cathode ray tube. CRT draw the power than LCD and also bigger the heavier. All of us have seen an LCD, but no one know the exact working of it. Let us take a look to working of an LCD. Here is using the alphanumeric LCD 16 into 2. A 16 to 2 LCD display is very basic module, is very commonly used in various device and circuit. These modules and preferred over 7 segment and other multi-segment LED. The reason being LCD are economically easily programmable, have no limitation to displaying special and even custom character animation and so on. So a 16 into 2 LCD means it can display 16 character per line, and there are the two such line in the LCD. Each character is displayed as a 5 into 7 pixel matrix. This LCD has two registers, namely command in the data. The command register stored the command instruction and given to LCD. This is the pin diagram. This is the pin diagram for the LCD liquid converter display, and you can see this pin diagram. Here is a pin diagrams. The LCD display module require 3 control lines as well as either 4 and 8 input output lines. For the user may select the LCD to operate with the 4-bit data bus or 8-bit data bus. 4-bit data bus used the LCD will require a total 7 data line. 3 control line plus the 4 line for the LCD will require total 11 data lines. In the 3 control lines are referred EN, RS, RW. LCD commands: so clear display screen, return home, decrement cursor, increment cursor, shift display right, shift cursor pointer to right. Circuit diagram. So this is the circuit diagram of the LCD. RS is connected to port 0.0. Programming the LCD interfacing with its send data to send data on the LCD data. To send data and the send string and then send command. LCD initializing full code. Output LCD interfacing image. This was a output. Welcome to, you can see here. Some people ask like what is the mean of the LCD. So liquid crystal display is a type of the flat panel display which uses liquid crystal to in the primary form of the operation. Liquid LED and LCD have a large varying set of the users consumer, and they has a commonly smartphone, television and instrument panels. Many questions arise like what is the stepper motor used for. So stepper motors, commercially stepper motors are used for the floppy disk driver, plated computer, printer, plotter, slot machine, image scanner, impact disk drive, intelligence lighting, camera, lens, CNC machine and 3D printer.